What's up, everybody? It's your favorite Trauma Triggers favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the Unique Toys Desperado. Listen, you know I don't speak that stuff. Tell Hector I'm coming to send my Desperados for you and him, is what that makes me think of, if you know the reference. Anyway, this one loaned to me from Scott M, and the reason why I say Trauma Trigger is because he's also the gentleman that loaned me the other Megatron that was of this variety that I couldn't even fully transform all the way, and then definitely didn't risk transforming back. And as a result, I have PTSD from the entire situation. Plus, I've broken his toys in the past. It's just all a big nightmare. Anyway, let's go ahead and talk about this guy, but in order to do so, we need to talk about accessories. You get 2 sprues for these little critters that I guess you can put sort of amongst his person. These are like the little like robots that were on his face. I'm not sure to this day whether or not they were repairing him or eating away at him, but if you recall, you can cut them off the sprue. You get 2 sprues for a total of 4. You also get this little fella. He's painted green with some weathering. He has a little tongue. He has eyes that are painted. The arms are on little ball pegs, and the feet are connected to legs that are all on swivels. And that's about all there is to say. So he comes with what they call in the business, I believe, a strong hand. And it is painted nicely. This whole figure and the ensemble is painted nicely, to be fair. It's a ball hinge at the end. It hinges. It's not a ball hinge, it's a ball joint connected to a hinge, rather. So it hinges at the base of the joint, and then you'll be able to get the movement of the ball joint, which is probably mostly a swivel. We'll look at it here in a second. And then you get the fingers, for lack of a better term, and they are painted, and then on top of the paint, they are weathered, which is nice. They hinge at the bottom, and then this one has an additional second and tertiary hinge. This one has an additional second and tertiary hinge. This one has a secondary hinge and a tertiary hinge as well. And this one is stagnant, so it just moves at the bottom. And that's what you get here. Then you just need to get access to the kind of socket inside of this joint. There is a piece that comes down here. And then this piece, I just did this. It untabs from the bottom there. And then you can tuck that ball joint up inside the socket. And then reconnect everything. He comes with a gun. I'm not sure if this should be moving as loosely or as it does, but he comes with it. It can come completely off. Once again, painted beautifully. The silver looks nice. Nice deco on this bit here with the olive green and the silver. You'll see that throughout the figure. Silver throughout the gun. Then we have the weathering on top with the blue stripe and the gold. Oh, you know what that means we have here, folks. Silver and gold. And etc. There are 2 holes here on his back, which you can plug the shotgun into so that he can stow it on his person. It can peg into his clawed hand. And then these can kind of just wrap around it. On the other hand, there's a square peg on the shotgun that you can peg in to the base of his palm, and he can hold it in that hand as well. The shotgun can be stored on the side of the vehicle mode here, which actually, usually, I mean, I think stuff like that often looks dumb. I don't think that looks too bad, to be honest. He comes with 2 side view mirrors. They are die cast. And given the same sort of paint treatment that the whole figure has gotten. And they peg in down to the front of the truck mode here on both sides. I think you can have them like in for whole transformation and all, but this got enough going on. He comes with 4 small pieces of chain that you can kind of interlock and drape around him or make the kind of X across his chest as you so desire. I mean, there it kind of is with the chains wrapped around in an X formation, if that works for you. He comes with this cloak. It's like a brown piece of fabric that is frayed, which gives it an interesting look, and then has these 2 pieces of Velcro to kind of create the hood. And gimmicks-wise, he does have a light-up feature. We'll look at the back of his head. If you take out these screws, and you can insert some of those little circle batteries that I don't have and don't keep and never will, then you can have his head light up, and there is the button for it. But you know, like I said, I'm not a big electronics in my toys kind of guy. It has to be really something exceptional for me to do it, but this figure does have it. All right, let's talk about the figure and we'll move from top to bottom. So, eyes are kind of dead. It does have the light up feature, so that it is somewhat forgivable. However, we already know, because other companies have shown us, specifically Fans Toys, that you can paint over light up eyes and have them look alive in both ways. So, bit of a bummer. The ball is on a double hinge. I mean, the ball is on a double hinge. The head is on a double hinge, which gets you up to there, but it breaks up the sculpt. Down. Most of this stuff is going to be kind of for pictures only. And then you can swivel it around. Detailings wise, I mean, it's just insane. It's an insane sculpt, like, throughout. No stone left unturned. Little wires are painted inside and such. The jaw also articulates. And then, like, if I get this out of the way, like, even the kind of stuff underneath the neck is all sculpted as well. Everything is painted, and then on top of that, everything is weathered. Let's back out. We'll move on. Shoulder. These pieces do lift up. The shoulders are not great. You get up. There's two problems. One, it's a limited range. You don't get 90 degrees on her. Secondly, these bits that are meant to kind of hold the shoulder joint in place, the pegs are not deep enough, so to speak, to really make that happen. Then you have a double jointed elbow that gets you 90 degrees. And it seems like you should have a bicep swivel, but for the life of me, I can't find it. Same on this side. It seems like it should be right there. But I'm not getting it, so I'm guessing it's not there. You do have a forearm swivel, but that's really of no use. That's not fair, because it kind of acts as a wrist swivel. So I will give them points for that. It's just not perhaps as helpful as a bicep swivel. All right, and then you have the fingers here. Base hinge, secondary hinge, base hinge, secondary hinge, base hinge, secondary hinge throughout. And then the whole hand also hinges in and out. So very articulated hands for what they actually are. This is really obnoxious. Deco-wise, everything is painted, and then the weathering is done quite well. It is painted with more of an olive green, whereas the other one, what was it, Alien Attack, was more of a beige. I'd have to look at pictures and stuff, but to me, he was more beige. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Chest, same sort of thing. Painted, decoed out the wazoo. You have a waist swivel that's ratcheted, and a ratcheted ab crunch. So that's quite nice. Hand on this side is the same, except for the strong hand, which we've already talked about. Let's take a look at these lower legs here. Well, not lower legs. Legs are towards the lower portion of a figure, aren't they? We have, let's see, these hip skirts here, they hinge out to show universals. They're ratcheted. You get out to about there. Forward and back to about there. Thigh swivels built around the universal. Once again, the deco continues throughout with this paint, the weathering, the sculpted detail. There's a huge sculpted detail on the joint here at the knees. Oh, real quick, this is spring-loaded, but if you get it up and hold it, the knee joint will get you to 90 degrees. Also, look at all that sculpted detail and stuff on the joint. It's always nice to see little care stuff like that. And I mean, I could go over this thing for hours talking about all the little nooks and crannies and details that they put into it, but I think you get the point. It's extremely well sculpted. It's extremely well painted. All right, same for the other side, but let's talk about the ankles. So you get an ankle tilt down, nothing really up, and then you get a rocker that pretty much acts on the toes more so than the feet, but it works all the same. And then we'll show him from the back. To answer any potential questions, the answer is, of course, I will never, ever, ever do a versus between this and Alien Attack. At least I think that's what the company was. I can't remember now, to be fair. Yeah, there he is from the back. So, I mean, pretty much the same deal, right? Sculpted well, painted well. Size comparison wise, I don't really have anything appropriate, but there he is with a Masterpiece Seeker, the Starline, so like, who also came courtesy of Scott, I should point out. And I mean, like, he's huge. This thing is massive, so to speak. So hopefully that gives you some sort of a concept as to what you'll be dealing with should you go down this route. Whew. The Lord is my shepherd. Let's go ahead and get him transformed. Lift up here at the thigh, swing this armature out, fold this piece in. I'm gonna try to isolate these steps the best I can, okay? So this piece comes out, this piece swings up and out, this piece swings up and out, and there's an additional piece on here that swings up and out as well. Then this section here swings down, kind of tricky to get to. And once you've done that, that will allow you to bring this whole piece here out and around. And then this can sort of be situated. Use this as your guide. So straighten, bring around, tab in, you know, so to form up like the kind of wheel wells and stuff. The last thing that you can do is unlock this piece here, which will then allow you to swing this whole section, which is that spring-loaded section that protects the back of the knee, down and around. So that can swing out, and it will allow you to extend the leg. Now with him flipped over, we're gonna take the wheel, we're gonna bring it up and around, and then the wheel is actually on its own hinge that'll tuck in underneath. You can rotate this foot down, and as you do so, bring this around. Let's see, I've got this. I haven't got this all the way in there yet. But, you know, it'll be obvious to you when you've got it right. You gotta be careful of the spring-loaded piece, it gets in the way. And then that sits, you know, I hope you can see most of that. You've got to align this knee so that this piece comes down and pegs in to that space in there. And it's a little hard to do without being able to kind of properly see it. And then this piece comes over as well. Slide the smokestack up, and that will tab into the knee joint as well. Come on, girl. There. Whew. Okay. Then you want to rotate the thigh in, and then rotate at the knee the cab back out. Now for the cab, this piece comes up, this piece comes down and just fills in that spot perfectly. The top of the cab here raises up, and then you're supposed to be able to, this piece has to flip down and out, a little hard to get to, and then you should be able to spin this bad boy. Let's get this door out. Why is this giving me so much grief? There we go. Just some clearance issues. But that's how it's supposed to move. Then you have the door here. You flip this piece out. Close that up. This piece comes down and tabs in. This piece, of course, is supposed to sit a little bit more flush. That sits in there. Then these wheels come up and tuck underneath there. And just tab that in as well. A little bit ornery, but it goes. Then you want to take this toe, swing that around, and then swing this one around to fill in those spaces there. Here we go again. Bring up that whole thigh connection, extend one additional piece, and then flap the one piece into the center. We're gonna try something a little differently here on this time around. We're gonna unlock that for one. We're gonna open this up, take this piece out and around. We wanna take this piece up, and then on the other side, where the smokestack is, we want to take that, spin that around, which will allow this whole section here. I was hoping that it would help not extending this additional flap here, but it didn't. Still a bit of a clearance issue. And then, of course, for our tires, we have to line this up so that it forms a nice, clean wheel well. And the paint here is a little off. That's a bit distracting, isn't it? Then we can grab our spring-loaded piece on the back, bring out that whole armature, and extend our knee before we flip them over. So now we got to work on this foot. This piece comes up. Once you can clear it, rotate the tire all the way in, and then rotate it all the way down. Maneuver the foot so that it's an ankle tilt down, basically. And then you want to rotate this piece. There's spring-loaded pieces in the back here that can get you jammed up. Just be mindful of them as you rotate this piece around and maneuver the foot so that you can kind of clear it appropriately. Once again, we need to line up the knee. So we're going to look at what we have to do here. This piece comes up and flips in, but it's this tab here that we need to be aligned with the inside of the knee. And it's a little tricky to show you. And there's not a lot of clearance. Like you can see, like, this is beating up against this piece here. Like, you know, that's not okay. But it'll go eventually. If only by force, it'll go. And then make sure all of that is tabbed in. And we can work on this cab a bit. I'm gonna go to work on some cab after this review, I'll bloody tell you what. There's this piece here, this flips up. There's a similar one on the other side that you can't see, but that flips down. Then that will allow you to rotate the cab up. There's this piece inside the cab that swings down. You also want to make sure, let me back out a bit, that you have this thigh rotated to the inside. That'll help for later. All right, flip this up, spin this around. You can bring the door out as well. Door comes up. And the roof of the cab tabs into the knee. Whew. Close the door. Bring this piece down, it'll slide right up in there. I missed this to show you guys this on the last one. This roof piece here, this piece swings underneath. all the way. Just make sure that's done. Then you can fold this toe around to the back, swing that toe around, and on this side, your tires here will come up and sit underneath this tab to tab in. There's 2 hip skirts on the front of his pelvis. Rotate those forward. And then this piece untabs and flips to the back. And then you simply collapse it all and hope that you've done a decent enough job where it'll line up properly. There's a number of different tabs and pegs and, you know, the like. Just do your best, and we'll reconvene once I've got mine right. As you do so, just make sure that this ladder section gets tucked in between, because that needs to sit underneath and it actually pegs back in to the bottom of the crotch. The 2 shoulder pads that get up and out of the way for articulation, rotate them up and rotate them, the whole piece that is connected to, up. And then you have to break this chest away, which is there, which has some Omri tabs and stuff. But by this point, you'll notice that this thing doesn't really want to do you any favors when you transform it, so it'll just feel like part of the process. Go ahead and fold in these chest panels as well to fill out the side of the vehicle. Now we need to extend all this. So the back plate needs to free up, and then this whole system here straightens out, and this stuff here slides forward as far as it will go. This piece comes over and down. This piece comes over and down. All of this comes back down, except for this piece, which you have to untab. Make sure that it lines up with there. You kind of have to go up and over, and then lay that down flat behind it. Now take this whole armature here. That will come underneath, and this pegs in. And we're gonna go ahead and do that on both sides. This is when it finally starts to feel like it's a thing again. Both sides. Take these spring-loaded pieces, spin them around 180, and then they come back down with the things that attached into the knees down. So that it can tab in behind. And it doesn't really feel great. Like, it's held in with tension, and it seems a little, I don't know, on the unfinished side to me. But there you go. Then you have the back plate. Rotate these pieces up. Rotate this piece down. And these might need to go to the inside. And then these pieces, make sure you have this up too. These pieces come back and tab in together, and then rotate those pieces down. Untab the shoulder, it'll be dying to do so anyway. Fold this piece in, and then rotate the entire arm back around to the other side. I'm just gonna put that back together. It falls apart during transformation, but we're gonna work on it now. So we're gonna open all of this up. And just pretty much extend everything that will extend, flip everything that'll flip. You know, just so we can have, and then flip this piece back down. You have the shoulder pad, that comes down and tabs in right there. This die cast piece flips up. This whole piece flips down. And you have to kind of bend the elbow to get that where you want it. And there. So then, let me back the camera out a little bit. Take the shoulder, flip that out, and then rotate it around so that this piece comes underneath. And then you just have a ton of different connection points. And they'll be pretty obvious, like here's one to there. They're just, I mean, they're everywhere. So just, you know, connect four, you know what I mean? And this one is pretty similar. Open up here, then rotate this shoulder back. God, why does this eat me up? That's got to sit down like that, but then this rotates underneath. Okay, and then make sure that that shoulder's nice and collapsed. This is where it's a little bit different. So open up as many panels as you can. There's plenty of them. This one is a little ornery on mine. It has to kind of flip. Dude, I hate this. I broke it? No, I didn't. Thank God. Which will allow you to spin this out. And then flip this out. This actually turns inward. And the hand, you really, it's not the most graceful, but you really just want to collapse it and sort of like angle it back towards this piece because it's just going to kind of fold up underneath. And then this swings down and this tabs in there. And then we have the shoulder, which I believe is identical. So we take this piece, it's on a series of swivels, and move that down so that it plugs back in to the shoulder. And this piece comes up, and this piece flips down. Tuck that piece in if it hasn't automatically done so. And then same type of deal, right? A series of tabs and notches, etc., etc. I'm not going to waste your time with it, but you start there and sort of just work your way forward. Like there's one here, and you know, kind of etc., etc. I'll tighten it up, we'll move on. And then we just have the final steps, so kind of like bringing the bumper down, getting it to tab in the best you can. I'm not sure that mine's going to tab in 100%, but I'm not going to break this thing, I'm too close. Spin these around to the inside, and then on the opposite side of the truck, we have these pieces that flip down. Whew. I'll clean them up, we'll take a look at them. And there it is. I mean, it rolls. I don't have it quite right. Like, I don't have it 100%, but I think you get the general idea. I mean, the deco comes through nicely. It's impressive how they did the waist, that, like, you can kind of turn the vehicle here. You might even be able to even turn it better if I had it 100%. But, like, as you can see, my stuff kind of keeps coming undone. And normally I would gig the piece for that, but there's just so much to this transformation that I'm guessing I just don't have something quite right. And I'm not willing to kind of put this thing at risk because I feel like, honestly, I have enough information about it to make an opinion. I love the kind of, like, you know, the Autobot kills there, or I guess I should have rotated these out as well. I love the sort of Autobot kills there, and, you know, the paint still comes through nicely. You know, my issue with this is that, like, I don't really think this looks a whole lot like the tanker. You know, it's kind of indicative of the tanker, but I feel like it's a little bit more abstract than it should be. And given the Bayverse, you wouldn't think that abstract would be a big deal, but I do kind of think, like, the tanker truck in the movie looked like a tanker truck. And the problem is, like, I wouldn't have any issue with that if, you know, if this transformation process was like a walk in the park and fun, you know, then you would be like, oh, well, sweet, then, you know, close enough. But it's not. It's a bloody nightmare, and then it's got the nerve to not look 100% right. You know, at least the other one looked a little bit closer, I feel like. That is at least how I view it in my mind's eye. Maybe I'm not viewing it 100% accurate, but yeah, there it is. There it is next to Tiger Tracks. And I am done for the day. Final thoughts wise, we'll start with the negatives. It's a difficult figure to manipulate. You're not always sure where to grab in order to sort of move stuff around. Be very careful in manipulating the lower legs that you account for that piece that covers down on the back of the calf. Handling action figures for 40 some years, I've always moved a lower leg the same way, but on this one, you got to be careful because you don't want to damage that piece. There's a number of kind of places on this guy where he's a bit cumbersome to deal with, just be sort of the kind of build, size, and honestly, just the structure. We'll go ahead and put this guy into it, like the structural integrity of it. Speaking of structural integrity, we got to talk about those shoulders. They are not designed well. You should have had more of a range of motion. They also should have stuck together better. I wish the eyes had more of a visible look when not lit up. And he does have some balance issues I have found, unless I got something wrong with the feet, where it seems like he often wants to lean forward. And I mean, I know we all thought we were going to get here eventually, but I mean, the transformation is not fun, man. It's a nightmare. It's not enjoyable. It's not, you know, there's a conversation that's been popping up in my head recently about, you know, what makes a hobby a good hobby? And one of those things should be that it's fun, you know, or at least enjoyable to you. And I don't think this classifies, you know, like it's a pain in the you know, and it takes like a lot of it to kind of be perfect to line up, and you know, and then the alt mode on top of that has the nerve to kind of like be a little bit more abstract. It's like, I did all that work for this. So yeah, you know, all that stuff, man, it's just it ruins the experience, at least for me anyway. As for the positives, there's a lot to talk about as well. The accessories are awesome, and the chains and cloaks, like cloak stuff, really does add a lot. Let me go ahead and sort of fix that a bit. There's also the there, that looks a little bit better, right? There's also the exceptional paint job that's throughout on the figure. There's also the exceptional materials, as well as sculpt work that went into this thing. Like, they cared. It's obvious that they cared. They showed at every turn how much they care. And care does go a long way. And look, while the transformation sucks, I can't deny that it has some interesting things going on with it, because it certainly does. There's a lot of, like, just mind-blowing ways that they were able to kind of move these pieces around in order to kind of get the shape of a truck. And I think the cab does an outstanding job. I think where they kind of throw it away is in the tanker itself. But I have to admit that it's impressive what they did, if not necessarily how they did it, or maybe vice versa. I'm not sure it was the best way to say it. So yeah, I don't know. I guess it's ultimate. It depends, man. If you don't plan on transforming a Dark of the Moon, I think is what this one is, Megatron, I actually think that the other one looks better. But if you want to be able to transform it, this one is going to be a little bit more enjoyable. And that's more of a knock on the other one than it is a praise of this one. I hope that helps. If you don't want to transform them, get the alien one. If you do want to transform them, get this one. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.